Okay, so my name is Jacob Kasky, and I will be presenting on the United States support for Taiwan and its implications on Chinese and U.S. relations. I chose this topic because of its controversial nature and its timeliness. The United States' relations with China are weakening, and part of this can certainly be attributed to our relationship with and our support for Taiwan. This presentation will explain the tense relationship between Taiwan and the Chinese government, as well as the unofficial relationship between the U.S. and Taiwan, and further the possible implications that this relationship has upon Chinese-U.S. relations. Okay, so before we begin, I'll just start with a brief introduction about myself. Like I said, I am Jacob Kasky. I am a criminal justice major here at Commonwealth University Bloomsburg campus. I also have a minor in our legal studies program, and I will be graduating in December. After I graduate, I hope to attend law school, and I will study to become a criminal defense attorney. Okay, so we'll begin the presentation with a brief history of Taiwan. We will cover the World War II era until the present day. So after World War II, Japan relinquished and transferred control over the island of Taiwan to the government of the Republic of China. The ROC government was then led by Chiang Kai-shek and his Nationalist Party, abbreviated to KMT. After this, in around 1945 to 1949, the Chinese Civil War broke out, where the Chinese Communist Party defeated the ROC government. This caused the KMT to retreat to the island of Taiwan, where they would form a base of operations to reclaim the mainland. So the newly formed People's Republic of China, led by Mao Zedong, prepared an operation that would liberate Taiwan through force. This sparked Taiwan's ensuing fight for de facto political independence from China, which actually continues until this day. Many people often ask the question of whether Taiwan is an independent state of its own and is internationally recognized as such. In order to answer this question, there are 8 criteria that a territory must meet in order to be recognized as an independent country officially. Much controversy does exist around whether Taiwan meets this criteria fully, and I will try to explain that here. So officially, Taiwan only meets 5 out of the 8 necessary criteria, and a lot of this can be attributed to political adversity and pressure from China amongst many other developed countries. So Taiwan first struggles to maintain its sovereignty because China technically claims ownership over the territory, and that is the absolute root of this disagreement. And further, due to political pressure from China, most developed countries, including the United States, do not officially recognize Taiwan's independence. To give some context on China's tense relationship with Taiwan, we have to go back to the year 1992. So China claims that Taiwan is bound by an understanding known as the 1992 Consensus. This was an agreement made between the officials of the Chinese Communist Party and the KMT party that was then in control of Taiwan. The two sides, however, do not agree on the content of this consensus, and it wasn't formed to determine the territorial status of Taiwan. So China's stance on the agreement is that the 1992 Consensus formalizes an agreement that the two sides of the strait belong to one China, and they would work together to seek national reunification after their conflicts. For the KMT, however, this is different, and one China means different interpretations, with the ROC or the mainland standing as one China. So the KMT also does not explicitly call for independence and actually strives for closer relations with Beijing. However, Beijing is unwilling to accept counter-proposals from Taiwan officials, and it's resulting in hostility and conflict among the region, which is not good. That brings us into the United States' relations with Taiwan. So the U.S. approach to Taiwan is yet governed by the One China policy, and this is outlined by various documents such as the 3 U.S.-China communiques from 1972, 1978, and 1982, as well as the Taiwan Relations Act and the 6 Assurances. Although all 3 of these do outline that Taiwan is indeed a part of China, the 6 Assurances are perhaps the most straightforward, the first of which acknowledges the Chinese position that there is but one China, and Taiwan is a part of China. Despite this stance, the U.S. and Taiwan still share a robust unofficial relationship, according to the U.S. Department of State. So, firstly, the Taiwan Relations Act, which was formed in 1979, outlined various non-diplomatic relations with Taiwan and formed the American Institute in Taiwan. This non-governmental organization carries out the U.S. and Taiwan's non-diplomatic relations, and it operates similarly to other diplomatic posts stationed throughout other nations around the world. Further, the U.S. also continues to support Taiwan with defensive military equipment regularly. And lastly, the United States and Taiwan have a deep economic relationship, which advances the nation's mutual interests. Taiwan is the United States' 8th largest international trading partner, and the United States is Taiwan's 2nd largest. Further, an estimated 188,000 American jobs were supported through the extensive trade of goods and services between the two, and Taiwan's $137 billion in U.S. cumulative investment supports an additional 21,000 American jobs. So not only is China frowning upon American support for Taiwan, they are also expressing disdain towards recent American action there. To highlight some of this, in 2022, former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan to meet with their government officials. In the eyes of the PRC government, this was viewed as a violation of the 1979 agreement, or the Taiwan Relations Act, that restricted official ties with the island. China reacted by conducting military exercises directly surrounding the island, threatening their safety. The U.S., however, believes that China's uptick in military force against Taiwan is a violation of China's side of the agreement. This is resulting in a constant tit-for-tat exchange between the U.S. and China, so they both feel like they're being provoked by one another. If China exhibits aggression towards Taiwan, then the U.S. feels obligated to support Taiwan. But if the U.S. shows support for Taiwan, then China feels obligated to uptick their aggression. Now to explore the effect of U.S. support for Taiwan on Chinese-U.S. relations. So China's current actions continue to signal their intent to forcefully liberate Taiwan, which China maintains is still their territory. President Biden has also recently expressed his commitment to Taiwan and has stated that he is willing to take risks and accept costs in order to reflect this. If China were to take aggressive action against Taiwan, President Biden's recent comments allude to the U.S. taking punitive action against China in some form. This could arise in the form of strict economic sanctions, which could endanger the stability of many U.S. markets. China's impact on the U.S. economy is vast, and economic sanctions could surely disrupt daily American life. These punitive actions could also manifest in the form of military support for Taiwan, which would surely be condemned by the Chinese government. This could likely result in some form of retaliation to the United States, potentially threatening our national security. To put all of this together, if tensions between China and Taiwan reach a boiling point, the U.S. is certainly faced with a hard decision to make. Do we continue or potentially even increase our support for Taiwan? Or do we abide by China's wishes and cease the support? Neither of these choices present an advantage to the United States. If we damage our relations with China, we are likely to face repercussions economically, militarily, or in some other fashion. On the other hand, damaging our relations with Taiwan would certainly result in vast economic consequences and does raise questions of morality. Overall, the conflict is unlikely to resolve itself anytime soon. However, the most beneficial outcome for the United States would certainly be a peaceful resolution with minimal interference. That way that we can preserve the relations between both of the regions. Here's the works cited for my work, and thank you for listening.